And I know it looks overwhelming right now, but I don't think it'll be that bad.
I think that this is going to be a better test than any other.
That one is a pain to get in. Important tips that I learned from smarter people than I. We are finally getting to the front fork seals. If you guys are just now tuning in, you're brand new to the channel, here's our problem. We tinted the forks, and if you guys have missed that video, go check it out. I thought that this tint would be high enough, but it blew out my fork seals, which I was already having issues with them. If you can see right there, the dust cap on top was already having like gross issues. So now everywhere on my bike is fork fluid. Here's what we're working with. We've got fork oil. I think I bought too much, but I didn't want to have too little. You understand. Then I got all the shims and spacers and whatever these things are. I got the fork driver tool, and we got our fork seals. These are All Balls fork seals. I wanted to go with a good brand that I trusted. So now that we've got all our supplies set up, let's go over to the bike and start tearing this thing apart, because we got to get these things off first. And I'm going to give you guys a few really important tips that I picked up from people who know what they're doing. So let's get into it. First step in redoing these front fork seals is going to be removing the front tire. Really simple, just got 2 pinch bolts right there, and then you got the axle that runs through the whole thing. There's not even another nut on the other side. Ooh, there's fork oil all over these things. There we go. I just went ahead and put the axle back in there. It's a good habit to just put everything kind of assembled back together. To remove the brake caliper, you're gonna need a 12mm socket. All right, and then we're just gonna sit this up on the crash cage. So I just zip tied it to the crash cage just so we wouldn't have any issues and the brake line's not pulled on or anything like that. And if you guys have had the problem with your front fender where Yamaha had your, them shipped out with the fenders backwards, this is a good time to switch that around. There we go. So let's cover a few important tips that I learned from smarter people than I. Loosen the pinch bolts on the top triple tree and then unloosen these, because you'll never break them loose once they're out of the triple trees. Size for the top one is a 22mm. Already ran into an issue. We've got this Allen key, which, as you can see, doesn't reach. So this might be a trip to the store.
Would you like an e-receipt?
Right back where we started. Keeps wanting to spin, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the axle back through here. Bottom pinch bolts are a little bit bigger than the top ones. They're an 8mm. Woo! We're free. One down, one to go. Something ain't right here. We're gonna take the caps off of these and drain out the fork oil. So I'm gonna go get a bucket to hold the fork oil. We already loosened this cap right here, so it should be easy to take off. Yep, super easy to take off. There it goes. And we're gonna start popping up the dust seal right here. This thing is nasty. The entire time that you're doing this, if you're just watching for entertainment purposes, thank you for sticking around, guys. But the entire time you're doing this, you're gonna wanna lift everything off the top because you don't wanna scratch this fork tube. As soon as you scratch the fork tube, it doesn't matter what seal you get, it's ruined. There's a little clip inside of here that we gotta pop out. So it seems like you're just gonna have to take your time and work your way around the clip. All right, the next thing we gotta do, guys, is we've got to take this entirely out on the bottom. There we go. This is the dampener rod, and that was being held on by that nut that bolt that we just took out at the bottom. All right, so the next thing we're gonna start doing is we're gonna start driving this out just by pulling out. So we got a hold of this and we're just gonna start, and that was it. And again, like everything else, we're gonna start pulling these off the top. And then we have this little gasket right here. It's kind of hard to see. There we go. As you can see inside of here, it's kind of hard to see, but it's really nasty inside of here. There's a lot of just rust and grime and all sorts of stuff because that dust seal was rusty. Nasty, rotten, and rusty. I'm gonna clean this out, so I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Fork's completely taken apart. I cleaned out the inside of this. Here, let me actually show you guys that for a second. It was really nasty before, so anything is a huge improvement. Cleaned it out with some contact cleaner. Got this guard off. I always thought that was one of the ugliest parts of the fork, so I took that off. I'm gonna set that aside. So instead of taking this one apart and entirely putting it back together and then doing the other one, I'm gonna take apart the other one as well, set them both separately, then get them set up to reassemble. Now remember, this is gonna wanna pop up because it's got the pressure of the spring over it. So just try to keep your face out of the way. There we go. And we're gonna slide off. All right, so in this kit, if you're wondering what it is, it's this. Bunch of gaskets. I think these are excessive on the amount that we need. Got your retaining rings and all of that. We got our press washers here. I don't know what these are for, but I assume for a different model or style or something like that. And I know it looks overwhelming right now, but I think with a little bit of patience and thinking through what we have to do, I don't think it'll be that bad. So it's 38-5020. Those are the gaskets you're gonna need for the top here. There we go. Another thing you're gonna need to buy are the seals, and those come in a completely separate pack, but here's the part number for them. So we got our fresh clip. This is the one that I was saying is really easy to get on. Just open it up, push it on the bottom, boom, done. Then our next clip, without scratching anything, and then that's gonna sit right there. Then, and this doesn't come in the kit, this is just part of your thing. This is a big old fat washer. And this one goes washer, and this one goes over top. And you're gonna wanna try to not scrape anything. You're gonna take the dampening rod. We're gonna slide this down in there real carefully. We're gonna let gravity, ow, take hold. We're gonna put this on the bottom here, and we're gonna push that up. And now we're gonna feed this all down into the fork. That one right there. So it was this retaining clip, this one. That one is a pain to get in. So just be patient with it, but we're gonna put that washer over top of it. And now we're gonna take this fork seal. We're gonna take this and we're gonna lubricate it. We're gonna lubricate the whole thing, and we're gonna wrap it around this. Yes, it reaches, okay. Then we're gonna take this fork seal, we're gonna put it over top the plastic. We're gonna pop it over top. Then we're gonna slide it down the whole thing. And as you can see, it protects it from all that rust. And then all we're gonna do is we're gonna slide it out the bottom and hope that didn't destroy the seal. And now we're gonna beat the living daylights out of it. They say you just need to tap it in. They're lying to you. All right, here's what we're gonna do.
He's gonna beat the heck out of this and we'll get back to you.
All right guys, so what I did was I replaced the aftermarket ones, the ones that come with the all balls kit, and I took them off and I replaced it with the original one of this one. You'll know which one it is. It's the one that seats down at the top. Just because that's what I did in the other one and it seemed to work out fine. And that's not what's really making a seal, that's just there for I don't know what reason, because I'm not a suspension specialist. I'm gonna try to seat this now after we replaced it with the original one, and I'm not gonna blow open my hand. That was a ton easier. I think that the issue was this ring. So don't use this one. Now, tell me why this is this large, because it wouldn't go down in there. But in my case, I used the OEM one that came with it. This seems to be just like a millimeter too large, and you'll do this if you're not careful. So we got that seated. We're gonna take this, which is the retaining ring, and we're gonna slip it over top.
Tap of the morning, tap of the morning, tap of the morning, tap of the morning.
There we go, guys. All right, so the retaining ring clicked into place. Now we're gonna do the dust shield, make sure that there's not any dust on it. So a little tip, because when we broke this bolt loose at the bottom, it was connected to the bike still and we had to do it real quick. Just shove a broom handle or something in there, flip it upside down before you put fluid in it so you're not leaking fluid everywhere, and it doesn't need to be like, ridiculously tight, just like pretty tight. Well, let's hope that doesn't leak afterwards. 547 milliliters of fork oil. So I went with a thicker fork oil. This is actually 15, and I think it requires 10 normally, but I went with 15 weight, or whatever the W stands for, because I beat the crap out of my bike. Now we're gonna drop in the springs. very slowly. And then we're gonna drop in this washer, spacer. Thought it might be helpful to you guys to show you these. So if you're looking for the torque specs for, you know, the front axle and the pinch bolts and everything, here they are. Well, we're gonna see how well they work. They look like they're sitting a little bit taller than they were before. So with the bike all back together, well, there's only one thing left to do. We gotta ride this thing. Right now, as this video is released, we are on a ride to Melbourne. We have been planning this for a couple of months now. We've got some sponsors. Huge shout out to HEADZ, Vital Ventures, and Motorcycle Dress Up. Enough of that. Let's get on the bike and try out the suspension. All right. Woo. Let's put the suspension to some work.
I think that this is going to be a better test than any other. Well, that was lame. I barely got a half a foot off the ground. This suspension is so nice. Gosh, dude, I love this fork oil. I love it. This is freaking amazing. But guys, that's probably gonna do it for today. I'm at this huge ice cream cone. This is Tardy Productions. I'm Aaron. If you guys are interested in anything that has to do with the Yamaha bolts or riding motorcycles in general, please think about subscribing. We put out a video every single week. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you guys next week.